friends, welcome back to my channel, and in today's video we are going to be discussing my reading. So this was originally going to be a reading vlog where I read for 7 days straight and I vlogged the experience, how many pages I read, how long I read, and I got about 5 days in and just didn't enjoy the way that it was going, so I decided I was just going to do a sit-down video. We are going to be reviewing my reading for the last week. We're going to be talking about how YouTube and being a booktuber influences my reading, how I read so much, and we're also going to be deep diving into my screen time, so the amount of time I'm doing stuff that's not reading. So let's get into it. So the first day of the reading experiment, I read 350 pages and I read for a total of 5 hours. For day 2, I read 390 pages and I read for 5 hours and about 20-ish minutes. Day 3, I read 372 pages and I read for 4 hours and 25 minutes. So the first 3 days of the week, I was going strong. I had a TBR plan for my weekly reading vlog. I had it in my head that I wanted to read as much as I could for this experiment, which I quickly realized was not what I was trying to do, not the point that I was trying to make. I wanted this to be a realistic look of what my life looks like, what my reading actually looks like, and how I get to the number that I get to at the end of the year. So day 4, I ended up not reading as much. I read for a total of 3.5 hours and I read 263 pages, and kind of from there my reading went downhill. Day 5, I read a total of an hour and a half and I read 169 pages. Day 6, I read for 5.5 hours and I read 360 pages. And then day 7, which was yesterday, I read for an hour and I read about 68 pages. So that makes a total of 26 hours and 20 minutes, a total of 1,972 pages. It's about 74.9 pages an hour. After that realization, my reading really slowed down. I gave myself the permission to do other things. I started a new video game, and so I wasn't quite focusing on reading. And I noticed, in particular with me, that if my reading is not centered around something for a video, I don't read as much. If I have a goal in mind, a video that I want to do, some sort of concept in mind, a way to go with my reading, I will not be as pushed to read. I mean, reading 26 hours of the week is still pretty substantial. I still have a lot of opportunities to read. I work from home 2 out of the 5 days, so I have plenty of opportunity to read at home, and then I'm also able to listen to audiobooks at work. And when I come home, I don't really have much going on. I don't have any other hobbies outside of reading. I play the occasional video game, but I'm not a huge TV watcher. I have 6 animals that I take care of. Outside of taking care of them, I don't really have a lot going on, and generally if I'm doing tasks with them, then I'm able to listen to an audiobook. So my reading overall last week, I would say the majority of the reason that I slowed down for day 7 in particular, it was my birthday, so I spent the majority of my time editing a video because I had not edited the vlog for last week. My weekly reading vlog as I had gone, which was like a rookie mistake, but it took me several hours to edit that vlog because it was quite editing intensive, and I spent the rest of my birthday with my partner, so I wasn't doing a lot of reading. And then for day 4 and 5, I had started a new video game. I was kind of giving myself a break from reading because I was struggling to pick up things. So in 2020, I read a total of 239 books. In 2021, I read a total of 278 books, and then in 2022, as of August 29th, I have read 212 books. I definitely have varying levels of reading speeds. Fantasy takes me the longest, and I can read the quickest on Kindle for some reason. I don't know if that's just like my own belief system helping me, but I read the fastest on Kindle, slowest on physical, and then audiobook. I can listen to an audiobook about the same speed that I would read on a Kindle, if that makes sense. I started my YouTube channel January 9th of 2020 with a wrap up. So I had already started reading before that. Prior to that, I was not a huge reader. I was a big reader when I was a kid, but once I left high school, I didn't really read at all. I read occasionally, and then when I started reading again and started my YouTube channel, that's where my reading really skyrocketed. I wanted to do as much reading as possible. I had so many stories that I wanted to consume that I didn't have any issue reading because I was in the same place that I am now as far as hobbies and things like that. The pandemic had really just got started, and reading was like my #1 hobby. In 2021, I really started focusing on reading romance. It is my heaviest read genre. I read the most of it, and I can read romance pretty fast. YouTube has definitely influenced my reading because if I am not making content, like if I'm not reading, then I don't have content for my channel, for my Bookstagram, for, you know, whatever I'm trying to do. So YouTube has increased my reading substantially. I'm reading more stories. I have an infinite TBR. So in regards to how do I pick my books and do I have a running TBR or am I a mood reader? I alluded to this earlier, but I am definitely a mood reader, but I have to have some sort of TBR. I have to have some sort of structure or my reading will fall off. I need a goal to reach for, which is why I keep a running tab of all of the vlogs that I want to do, all of the videos that I want to do. So I am constantly scheduling my reading. Now I will occasionally read outside of that. Like I will have books checked out from my library, from my KU library, but those are still for videos that I eventually want to do, or if they're not for a video, then I can just feel free to read them, but that still incentivizes me to read because even though I don't have anything scheduled for those books, I have something scheduled later on, so I have to read these books now, if that makes sense. So YouTube greatly influences not only my TBR because I'm constantly watching videos of people reading, I'm on Bookstagram looking at pictures of people reading, so I am interacting with people that are reading constantly, and it adds to my TBR. So I would say BookTube is the majority of where I get my recommendations or my TBR picks from, unless it is something where it is a themed KU vlog where I have to like pick 5 random books or, you know, whatever. Usually things that I'm not reading for a themed random video, I'll be reading because I heard someone else talk about it. As far as reading slumps go, again, I don't usually get into them. I'm not one of those people where I'll read like a really good book and then I can't read anything else. I read a really good book and I want to read more. So next up is my screen time. So as I've said previously, I don't really have other hobbies outside of reading, you know, and YouTube and my animals. So looking at my screen time, I obviously don't have TikTok. So that is a large part of the time suck I feel like that people fall into. And as you can see from my August 7th to August 14th, YouTube was a large part of my screen time. It took up a total of 9 hours, and on average I spent a little under 4.5 hours on my phone a day. YouTube was the largest part of that, and then next up was Instagram. So Instagram those are the 2 platforms that I use for content creation. Instagram is mostly just scrolling and like doing promotion for my podcast and stuff like that. And then Notes, of course, is book planning or content planning, and then we have some random other apps that don't take up as much time. So then we go on to August 14th through the 21st, and again, YouTube is a massive part of my screen time. Again, we have about that 4.5 hours, a little under 4.5 hour average a day, and YouTube is at the top, and Instagram is roughly about where it was the week before. And then this most recent week, I was on again about a little under 4.5. My minutes are actually exactly the same. Again, YouTube is the largest part, and then Instagram after that. So my average screen time doesn't really change over the month. It's very easy for me to set my phone down. I'm not necessarily in my phone doing things on my phone unless like I am promoting something or I'm having a particularly bad day where I don't necessarily want to be reading, or I need something to turn to just like mindlessly do. But again, that's not really something that I struggle with. I would say YouTube is the largest thing outside of reading that pulls my attention, because I'm watching other YouTube videos. I have YouTube on while I'm reading, while I am cleaning, while I'm doing all this other stuff. So I would say the biggest thing that I need to work on for my reading is to listen to more audiobooks, but I'm comfortable with my reading where it is at. I don't really have any huge takeaways with my reading. Like, this is kind of the results that I expected. I have found myself, especially with YouTube in particular, getting into a rut where I constantly feel like I have to be reading at max capacity, and sometimes I just have to give myself a break because I get very excited about the content that I'm creating, and it affects me because I'm rushing to be better or read more than I really can. So I'm very happy personally with my reading where it is. I don't really have any tips for you if you want to read more, because I do what I can. Like, I read as much or as little as my schedule and my life and my mental health and my animals will allow. So sometimes I will read way more, or the majority of my day, for 5 hours of my day, and other days I'll read an hour. And I have come to a point where I have to be okay with that. I love doing YouTube. YouTube is a huge source of creative outlet for me, for friendships, for a sense of community. As you get older, as you age, you lose a lot of friendships, and this has become a place of community that I feel like I can fit into. It has innate goals that I can strive for. It allows me to flex myself creatively. I love the editing process. I love filming. I love everything to do with YouTube. The only thing I don't like is, personally, the stress around numbers and things like that. YouTube is not very friendly when it comes to analytics. It's very precise, it's very harsh. It'll tell you, like, this video sucked, everybody thought this video sucked, this is how it ranks in all the other videos that sucked. So, like, it can be mentally taxing, but for me, the pros outweigh the cons. Like, obviously, I've been doing this for several years at this point, and I've found things that I absolutely love about it. So, but I by no means feel like if you have a YouTube channel or don't have a YouTube channel that you have to read as much as me. This is a self-imposed reading hobby, reading style that I have created for myself based off of what I enjoy doing, what I enjoy reading, and the sort of content that I want to create, and the sort of hobby that I want to have. That's kind of how my reading goes, what my reading looks like, how much I can read. If you have any questions for me, I would love to answer them down in the comments. If you want me to explore anything else to do with my reading, I would be more than happy to. If you don't have anything to say, leave a book stack emoji down in the comments. If you are looking for more content from me, make sure to follow my Instagram, my podcast Instagram, follow my podcast on all your favorite streaming platforms. It's a horror podcast. It's a really good time. Thanks so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in my next one.